Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode. Look at us. Choo choo. The train keeps going.
Whoop
Seventh
whoop.
seventh episode. The Spanish one released today, and I completely forgot to post anything about it because I completely
I
forgot it was Thursday. It threw me
I
off.
thought about it because how I also it came up on my notifications and I'm like because I subscribed to the podcast and I was like, oh, he and then I went on the Instagram and I'm like, oh, there's nothing on there. I'm
I
like,
completely
what's
forgot.
happening? So
Yeah, so here's the email for you to throw a complaint at me for
yes,
not
I will
sharing
email
it.
you in a little bit. Mindfulpodcastliving@gmail.com. Any complaints like the one I'm about to submit? Um, shoot us,
Comments,
yeah,
topics,
comment,
want to be a guest.
topics. Yeah,
All right. So mindfulpodcastliving at
anything.
gmail.com. And as always, here is a mission statement.
Our goal is to create a safe space for exploring mental health topics, sharing stories, and learning strategies for well being, fostering empathy, understanding growth, and most importantly, love.
Love, love, love. All right.
Yes.
So today's my turn.
Today is your turn. Yes, I
Today
was
you're
on the
just gonna
hot
hear my
seat
voice.
last time, and now we're gonna shift gears a little bit into your story with a human in your life. So, how are you feeling about it?
A little bit nervous. I've been actually replaying it in my head how to go about it the best.
Hmm.
But I'm just gonna what I how I decided to kind of mention is I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be open about it.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I would want you to give me any feedback, both as your friend and as maybe some work that I need to do. Um, because like I said, it's just where I'm at right now. It doesn't mean my feelings are gonna change. Doesn't mean all that. Like we're always growing, changing, evolving, all that stuff. But my goal is to be as honest as possible with whatever has been going on, and I know that hopefully, I mean, I know people will benefit because it's a really tough situation. And
Hmm.
not to make it any longer, today I'll be talking about the relationship with my mom, or lack of relationship with my mom, however you want to put it. Um, I want to start.
Wait, hold on. Before you do,
Go
you
ahead.
said just like clarification on my role. You said you want some feedback on what specifically?
No, just anything you want to say. If you think I need to adjust any kind of thought process, any way that I speak about it, or something that I can grow from that you notice, like go ahead and do that. You're more than welcome to do that. It's always, like I said, I think it's always changing, and every day I think of things a little bit differently, and it's not by any means like how am I gonna feel for the rest of my life or anything. I think some things will always change, and I'm open to learning something new. If you have
Hmm.
anything to say, or like always, by processing and by talking about it, I usually tend to work things out on my own. So yeah, so I'm gonna talk about the relationship with my mom. My number one concern is honestly, and the hesitation or the fear or the nervousness is for her to hear about it, right? For her to hear about this, because it's something that is very private, and that's why I think is important. It is very private and real, and it's important for me to talk about it, right? Because I understand, like I said, it's going to help other people.
Hmm.
Um, so I want to start by telling her that I love her. I want to start by telling her that I love her, that I know all the pain and the damage and the issues are not her fault. Like, she didn't do it on purpose. They did and kind of are causing some pain and some feelings in me. But like I said, I don't blame her. It's not her fault. She doesn't know what she's doing. She didn't know what she was doing when it was there, when the things were happening. So I want to address it with that. And like, I still love her. Um, I've just learned to love her from a distance, um, for what is the best for me and my daughters and my wife at the moment. From I have no complaints about the relationship. I think with my mom up till when I was probably 14 years old. My childhood, I said, was, I don't know if it would be normal, but it's nothing outstanding, nothing crazy that I think that stood out outside of the norm, right? Like nothing, no big traumas, no things that I remember that were because of her doing, at least up to like 12, 14 years old. But at some point, there was a lot of stress with my dad, a lot of fighting, a lot of stuff happening. Started being more regular. And I want to say maybe could have been from 12 to 14 years old. And then she brought me in to the middle of the fight, like kind of to ask me my opinion. She asked me, they were arguing with my dad, and then she was like, "Oh well, what do you think?" or something like that. And I told her that I thought my dad was right. And as soon as I did that, it was like the relationship completely changed forever. Um,
Mm.
she started just being more like more super negative towards me. Anything would trigger her, like any disagreement, me saying disagreeing with anything that she would say, or it's just like from that point forward I feel like there was a distance and there was this kind of animosity from her, in that, um I feel like, then the fighting continued, and obviously got, well, we were trying to help out the situation as me and my brothers. Like I said, if I was 14, my middle brother was 11, and the little one was like 7 or 8. So that continued for a few years. I want to say she somehow believed that I didn't care for her, that I didn't love her, that I was on my dad's side of the argument, or my dad's side, period. And she firmly believed that, and anything would become like a big deal. Like I always remember talking to her and telling her, but like, why is everything have to be so big? If we're just talking, why is everything have to blow up and become like a big issue? And any little thing would be like, oh well, you guys don't fucking love me, fuck you guys, I'm gonna leave you guys, you guys don't want me here, all that. So there was a lot of like threats of abandonment throughout my early teenage years, of like, oh, I'm gonna leave you guys, you guys don't want me here, you guys don't love me, you guys don't care for me, you guys don't do this, you guys don't do that, out of any little argument that would happen. And it was kind of tough, because I remember telling another family member at some point that heard that there was arguing or fighting going on. I remember telling her, it's like, oh, I feel like it's been years. This is later on. I feel like it's been years since my mom loved me. And that family member like flipped the fuck out and told me I was wrong. How could I say that a mom? How could I say that it's a mom? She's always gonna love you, and all this shit. And you know, it was it was hard, because I feel like, well, I guess I'm trying to tell the story like chronological order, but later on, um we found out that there's a possibility that she might have a borderline personality disorder,
Mhm.
which as soon as I found out what that thing was, I did research and I fucking listened to podcasts, I did all this shit, and I was like, fuck,
Of course.
yeah, she does have that shit. Like, it seems like, I mean, I don't fucking know, but like there was like a list of 10 things that if you had like 5, you had that shit, or 3 or something like that. And I was like, damn, she has like 9. Like 9 of them I can tell clear examples of that happening. So now I know that that might have happened, and how I like to think about it, or how I made sense of it. I feel like as soon as you have a disagreement, I think as soon as she feels hurt, she completely like puts you on this like side of the shit where you're like, now you're a fucking asshole. You're no
Mhm.
longer with me, and you're just either very black and white, way of seeing relationships. And
Mhm.
um that, unfortunately, her thinking about me, and eventually everyone around her, then my brothers, my dad, and everybody around her, like, has caused a lot of pain in her, because she pushed us away. So she thought the worst of us. She thought, like I said, that we were bad kids, constantly telling us that we weren't shit, that we were on my dad's side and all this. So after years of that, like, I guess it becomes real. We become what you think you say we are. And we started treating her that way, um, because it was just like, okay, well, this is what you think anyways. And I think, I'm saying this without having the knowledge, right, of what her condition, what I think her condition is. We didn't have any of that knowledge. So I think we started behaving like that. And it's just so hard for somebody to constantly be like, for you to be in a relationship, or for you to have a relationship with somebody that is constantly threatening to leave you, right? I'm gonna leave you, you don't fucking love me, you don't want me, you guys ain't shit, you guys this and that. It's very hard. um so yeah, that's like that part of it. That was a big issue. I mean, the other issue was obviously the fighting with my dad. And honestly, I'm healing and I'm doing a lot of work, but I also, because of my upbringing, and specifically, I think because of her, I'm very, like, loud with my argument, right? I used to be very, like, I'm still loud and outspoken, but I used to be literally, like, a lot worse, because it was just yelling matches, right? We both got offended. I'm trying to get her to understand something. She's yelling at me back and all this shit. And it was back and forth. And then you're seeing the things with my them fighting themselves and all that. So that also caused a lot of problems, right? And a lot of pain. I remember specifically, um, getting the first time I had that I noticed that I had like a panic attack or like anxiety, mm, like a big thing of anxiety was, she called me one day when I was at school that they were fighting. And after that, like, I think a day or two later, like, I was in class and I left class and I went to the bathroom and I started crying because I was concerned and I was like, is my phone gonna ring? And then I literally developed a fear, which, we've talked about it with one of my brothers, like a fear of the phone ringing,
Mm.
because it meant either your mom or your dad were gonna tell you that there was fighting and you had to resolve it and you had to deal with it. You had to go and face it head on. So it was kind of like very tough for those things. And obviously now later on, I know that, like, that created a lot of space between us, where I don't think I could fully open up to her, to the point that I am suffering now from needing her love, right? Like, needing her love, needing to be hugged, needing
Mm.
to be feel like I need to be taken care of, needing that just that maternal love. Like, I just feel like I missed out on that, because how she was, like, she wasn't really there for that part, because it was just tough to open up to her and to do that. And yeah, when you would tell her certain things, I don't think her thing was helpful too, right? Like, if you say you're struggling with something, well, like, fuck them, don't do this, don't fucking cry, don't do all of that, like, don't fucking show them any weakness, don't do that stuff. It was like the typical thing. At the same time, that wasn't very helpful at all. um so it was very tough, very tough years. I definitely struggled a lot. I mean, the fighting and all that, like, um to this day, sometimes when I'm stressed out and I feel like I need to cry, I go and I take a shower. And I mentioned to this to you, didn't mention this to you before,
Yeah.
because that was the way that I didn't show my brothers that I was stressed out. I didn't show anyone that I had pain. I didn't show anyone all that stuff, because I wanted to be strong for them. I didn't want them to be concerned. As I'm telling you this, I can see the room where they're sleeping. I can see myself in the shower. I can see myself. locking myself in the bathroom and just sitting in the toilet and just crying, asking myself what the fuck was going on and why, what was happening, why did I deserve it, what was happening, and all that. Um, yeah, then that led to drinking because the fighting happened all the time, and I honestly remember making a conscious decision, like at 16 or 17 years old, I don't want to be here. Like I got there one time from school and they were arguing and shit. And then somehow I made the conscious decisions I'm not gonna be there. And then started going out more, started being out with friends that we weren't doing any good things and shit. And then eventually one of them just offered a drink and then I started drinking. And then I became a fucking alcoholic pretty much from like 16 to like 18 and a half. I used to drink every day. I used to ditch. We used to drink at other people's houses, pretend like we're going to school and go home and drink a lot. We stole fucking bottles from liquor stores or got or find our way to do things like that. And yeah, it was an unhealthy amount of drinking, obviously to the point of vomiting and all that shit that I think
Mm.
came from all that, all those issues with the growing up. Um, and yeah, that's just how it's been with her. But the thing I think I want to focus on specifically was like a recent thing that happened, right? So shit, I don't know how long it's been. Maybe almost a year now. I don't know, maybe less. She was actually living with me, and she was living with me, and I somehow decided to tell her at some point because she threatened to leave the house again. And I think it was she's living with me, and I live with my wife and my two daughters, and she threatened to leave again. And she one time she actually left, and then my 6 year old then was like, hey, where's grandma? It's like, oh, she went to stay over there with her cousins or somebody, sister or somebody. And then I saw she was like in pain from her leaving, right? She was suffering, like my little girl was suffering. And then she came back like nothing happened after a couple of days. And then we got into a little bit of a thing again, a conversation, an argument. And I was like, look, if you ever leave again, I don't want you back.
Mm.
This is not a game. This is not something that is funny. You're affecting not only me but other people now. And I just want to let you know. And we were having like, actually I want to say that time was like a normal conversation for once. And I just told her that. Um and then that was that, right? And then we ended the conversation there. So then something happened again. We started this time I will admit we started arguing because she was um she was talking bad about me to my daughter, or talking bad about, or letting her frustrations out to her. So
Mm.
then about adult problems. So in my mind I freak out because I by then, because this happened like I said within a year, I know the fucking pain that my daughter's gonna go through if I allow this shit to go, because I lived it firsthand, right?
Right,
I
right.
know, I know what it's gonna be like. So I said, fuck this. And I said, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. I put a stern boundary. This is not okay. This is not, you're gonna cause anxiety, you're gonna cause her stress. Look at her. She's already struggling with the sleep and all this stuff, and just like you can see her anxiety going up. And I didn't like that at all. She does it again, a few weeks, a few days, I don't know how fucking long afterwards. And then I tell her, you're doing it again. But I'm obviously upset and I'm yelling. And I said, I told you not to do this. You're doing it again. And it caused some kind of argument. We went to my in laws and she was gone when we came back. And she never came back. So I remember talking to you during those days
Hmm.
and saying, like, I
Wow, it's been a
understand.
year already. That's wild.
I think it's been close to a year,
That's
maybe.
wild.
Yeah. Um, so then is came to that decision that I feel like she made for me by leaving, but it was that decision of not wanting to not wanting you to be around for the sake of my well-being and my daughter's well-being, right, and Celia's well-being. But honestly, it was for the girls, because that's the thing that triggered me, because I'm like, I can take that shit. I can take that thing. I'm already used to it. I
Mm.
was already almost like, that's how she is. Don't bring anything that's kind of remotely controversial, or like a different opinion, or just let her fucking think whatever the fuck she wants to think, or whatever. Like, you're kind of walking on eggshells around her and shit like that, even though she was living with me, you know. But when she was doing that, and I saw the cycle, the possibility of the cycle repeating itself, I was like, fuck that, that's not okay. So she leaves, and I decide to go no contact with her, right? I decide to be like, oh, I'm not talking to her anymore. She somehow told other people, like, well, I'm not sure, I'm not gonna say this because I don't know for sure, because I haven't asked her, and obviously we had never talked about it. According to other people, I kicked her out. So according to other people, I kicked her out, and I didn't do that, right? I have no thing of that. I was like, she left, but I did tell her that she knows that I told her, when you leave, you ain't coming back. This is not a game, you know. So I'm pretty sure that that was fresh, or that is still active in her mind of what I told her. So yeah, I decided to not reach out to her, to not do anything, to not talk to her, and to not have any contact with her. And it was weird. I was, well, not weird. It was painful. It was painful to deal with it, to understand it. I remember telling Celia, like, it feels like a breakup. Now, mind you, Celia's been my only girlfriend and shit, and wife now, so obviously I've never been through a breakup. But there was like grief.
Mhm.
There was
Mhm.
like pain of like, what the fuck? Like, why does this feel so weird? Like I'm ending a relationship. Like, I'm detaching myself. Like, something fucking died. It's like, it was weird, and it was very painful. You know, it was very
Mhm.
painful to go through that. I like, I suffered a lot. I fucking cried, and I thought about it, and I was like, well, it's for the best. And I was so scared, right? I was so scared to make this decision, because I knew, am I wrong? Like, this is my mom. Like, this is my mom. What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is my mom. This is not okay. You're supposed to take care of her. You're supposed to be there for her. This is your mom. Like, this is this is wrong. This feels this feels bad, or am I doing the wrong thing? And I mean, to be, like I said, I'm gonna keep it 100% honest. I remember asking you, and the thought process was, well, what if she harms herself? Because she's always threatened us with harming herself. And I was like, what if she does it? What if she what if she just ends it, or she tries to, because of my decision, even though it was her decision to leave and all that shit. But I guess my decision to not reach out to her and talk to her. And so that was the fear that
Mhm.
kept me like questioning and wondering the stuff. So yeah, I guess I talked to my brothers, talked to my dad about it, and I just told them kind of like what I had decided on not reaching out to her and all that stuff. And it was really painful. And like, I remember telling them, like, I don't know what the fuck, but I need you guys, like, I need a fucking hug. Like, I am in pain. I
Mhm.
need I need to feel like loved, or to be taken care of. I don't know why this is so painful. And there was a few days, maybe a week or something, that it felt like that. But excuse me, I leaned on my wife. I leaned on my dad. I remember talking to you a couple times,
Mhm.
talking about one of my really close friends too, and telling him about that stuff. And it was like, well, it is what it is. It is what needs to happen, for the once again, for primarily the well-being of my daughters. So from that came some backlash. From that came some backlash of, I mean, he knows, like, I talk about him, and we're in such in good terms, and he's trying to do his best with Kopitar, and I understand his side, which I can go into already. But I talked to one of my brothers about it, and his pain comes from not only that our parents got divorced. Now you're telling me that you're not gonna be talking to my mom, and that's where he was coming from. Of like, I already have to decide between them two. Now I have to decide between you at the same time, and that was really painful for
Mm.
him and shit. So he was trying to get me to be like, this is not right. This is not okay what you're doing. You need to figure it out. It's your mom. There has to be some other thing that we can do. There has some other shit that we can approach, something we haven't tried. Oh, I don't want to skip this part. This is very important and I skipped it. I shit you not. I have done everything, every fucking possible thing I can do to fix that relationship. I have done everything. I shit you not, I have done everything. I've tried talking to her. I have tried explaining things to her. I've had a million conversations with her trying to make it better. I've signed her up for therapy. I literally signed her up for therapy and I said, this is fucking where you need to go. They're gonna call you. This is what you need to do. They're gonna call you every week so that you start working on it because she had at some point she had like a little stroke or some shit. So then I went, signed her up, paid the fucking $400 a month or whatever the fuck it was to do it. And she did it once, I think. And then she made an excuse and didn't do it again. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to waste my money. So I canceled it. I paid for the 1 month. And then I was like, I'm not going to waste my money. I've had conversations. I said, Mom, I've talked about my pain. I talked about my personal shit. Obviously, not touching up on anything that she's done because anytime that I bring any pain that she caused on me, it would be like the fucking world is ending. Like a lot of yelling, a lot of like this and that, and a lot of backlash. And literally, like it was like fucking huge feelings as soon as I mentioned anything. So without mentioning anything of that, I was like, yeah, Mom, I felt depressed. I felt anxious. I went to therapy. I feel better. I'm having conversations. I'm talking to these people. I'm talking to mentors. I'm doing all this shit to feel better. Um, my brother's going to therapy. Look, and he's feeling better, and he's doing all this shit and everything. And also from whatever skills and whatever shit I had, um, back in the day before therapy, like I still share that. And we tried and we tried and we tried and we tried on every single possible fucking thing that I've done. I tried for all my life. I was and I was the glue to try to fucking keep sanity in the house, right? And then my brothers did that too, so not gonna take anything from them. We were all that at some point, and I was like, I'm trying all my fucking life to keep some fucking unity to make everything feel okay. Then I would get tired, and then my brother steps in, and then he tries it, and then he gets over it. Then the other brother would try to step in and try to m- make situations better and do all this shit. And then it was just like overwhelming to now. Like when I came to that decision, what I would tell my brother was like, well, how much fucking pain do you want me to go through? Like I am done. Like you can try by all means. Go ahead. I'm this is how I tell him, just like I said at the beginning of the episode, this is not a decision that I feel like is final and it's gonna be like, oh, forever I'm not talking to her or anything like that. Like that's not how it is. That's not how I like to think about it. But I tell him, this is how I feel right now. You can go ahead and try. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm just out at the moment. I am done. I am done trying. I don't want to continue to try. I don't want to continue because it was a lifetime of fucking bending over backwards to make her feel better, to make it okay to walk
Mm.
around those fucking eggshells. It was like always, I always had to turn the other fucking cheek. I always had to be the one. Like it was fucking a conversation that turned into an argument, and it was I was the one getting told of like, nah, you need to work on this shit. Fucking nah, like, why the fuck you doing that for this and that? And me, when it happened to my brothers, It was the same shit. Like, nah, fool, like, why the fuck? Like, you do this and that, and you know how she is, and don't do this and don't do that. And it just gets exhausting. And when I let go and when I decided not to talk to her, it was like freeing because it was like, I'm just letting it go. Like, I'm not carrying this burden, you know? So, like I
Mhm.
was saying, there was grief, there was pain, and then there was also like some kind of relief afterwards of like, I don't have to do this, I don't have to try anymore. The only concern, obviously, that is hard, that I do think is also important to talk about, is the pressure of it's your mom.
Yeah.
I wonder, well, not I wonder, a lot of my family has never heard this side of the story, has never heard my pain because they don't bother to ask. And to them, we're just the fucking assholes. We're the three assholes, the four assholes, actually. We're the four fucking bad guys that have treated their mother like shit their entire lives because they don't have the capability to fucking think that there could be another side of the story or to even bother asking me what my side of the story is. So we have been the bad guys. So the backlash of it is being the fucking bad guy. I am the one that doesn't talk to his mom. I'm the one that kicked his mom out. I'm the one that doesn't have relationship with his mom. I'm the one that his mom doesn't see the her grandkids. I'm the fucking bad guy to everybody. And that pressure alone, I think, will turn off other people from doing the decision that I made. Even the pressure from my brothers.
Mm.
And it hurt. There was some times they had a party. One of the family members had a party and I had no fucking idea and everybody was there and it hurt. And I cried. I showed the video of the party to my wife and I was like, look at this shit. Because by then it was fresh. It must have been like 2, 3 months since that happened. And I was like, everybody was there. We didn't even get invited. Didn't even get a thing or anything. So it was painful to see that. And like I said, I cried. I thought about it. I just felt it. Maybe within a couple of hours, I was like, you know what? I forgive them. It
Mm.
hurts, but they're not. They don't know. That's like it's the same shit. They don't know any better than to ask me. I'm not gonna have any hate because I did develop some anger in that moment. But I was like, I'm not gonna do that. Like that doesn't benefit me at all. Like I'll be there for them if they ever need me and if they ever want to tell me the side of the story. But it doesn't do me any benefit to like hold any grudges. Like I said, they don't know any better. They're not aware of what is happening, and fuck it, if they ever talk to me, like I said, I'll be here. So it's very tough to do that because everybody thinks like that, right? Like everybody thinks is your parent. Like you gotta fucking go bend over backwards and do everything and like always be there for them, no matter what the fuck they do to you, no matter how they treat you, no matter that happens. So I come from the perspective every time of I see that shit on TV and I'm like, fuck that. You know, I understand why people don't talk to their parents. Like I understand it. And I don't say it out loud because everybody's like, what the fuck? I still have that thing. But every time I watch that shit, I was like, oh, yeah, fuck that. That's not how it works. And there's somebody that there's somebody in my life that was in the similar situation as me. And I was like, nah, fuck that. Like, work it out. Fucking be this, be honest, be vulnerable, do this shit and all this stuff. And then she told me recently, she was like, hey, weren't you talking all that shit to me about working it out and trying it out and all that stuff? And I was like, no, yeah,
Call the fuck out.
yeah. So I was like, yeah, yeah, like, you're right. I mean, now being on the other side, I understand. And she might be dealing with the exact same situation as me. So I was like, yeah, I get it now. I see
Mhm.
that stuff. Um, so yeah, so that's the journey how it's been. It's once again it's sad to say because like I fucking love her. It's just I know that I cannot have an honest and real relationship with her because of how eventually it will lead to an argument and the pattern will continue again. So as of today, she comes to the house every once in a while. Like I talked to her, I reached out and for like
You're
Christmas.
you're the one that you're the one that reached out?
Well, my brother, the very first time, my brother was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go with my mom," and then I think I don't know if it was her. No, she called me. She said, "Hey, I'm gonna be with your brother if you want to come and bring the girls." And I was nervous. I was fucking scared. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do, and I decided to just go anyways. To just be like, "Well, we're gonna see her there, and the girls can see her, and it's Christmas, whatever. Fuck it." So then I did that, and ever since that point, it's been like I see her every once in a while. She comes over, or like I visit her and my aunt a couple times. But I'm just saying, like, there's really it's kind of hard to open up, and it's kind of hard to have a relationship, and it's just kind of like a high kind of thing. I don't really start any conversation. I don't really do much because I just know where it's gonna lead to. I know that it's gonna be eventually some shit will happen, and to open up the pain and all that stuff again, and then once again for the girl's sake and all that stuff is like, no, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to see it. Which
Mhm.
now thinking about it from her perspective, from my 7 year old's perspective, explaining to her, I don't remember how I did it. I think I told her, hey, she's gonna be over there. Something I don't want to lie about how I told it to her, but I put it to her in a way that I think it made sense to her without being negative about my mom. Like I
Mm,
was still cautious to not talk shit and be like, "Oh, well, she did this and she did that,"
right.
because she doesn't know, right? And I'll be doing the same thing that I wanted to stop. So I put
Right.
it in a way of a very vague way of it, of like she's just gonna be gone for a little bit or something. I don't remember exactly how I did because she likes to ask me like, but like what the fuck, like what happened and all that stuff. So I just when she asks something that I think is beyond her understanding, I was like, I'll tell you when you're older. She's like, tell me now. I was like, no, when you're older, like you'll be able to deal with it, and then I'll tell you directly how things are going. um so yeah, so it's been um like I said, I just think about it, it's sad to say, but it has been easier, and this is the ultimate, I think, fucked up thing to say, although it might be right. It's been so much easier without her because there's been so much more peace. There's no walking on eggshells. There's no having to worry about what she's gonna say, how she's gonna react, what she might be saying to the girls and all that stuff. It's it's sad, but it's like it's the reality of it.
Yeah.
I I wish that it would be something different, but this is like letting go. It's definitely been a good thing for me because this situation, or I've said it in the past, like she's been my hardest fucking struggle. I've been just randomly happy as my life is evolving with getting married and the girls and all this stuff. And before this, it would just be like, why can't I fucking get this? Like, why can't I get her to understand? Or that shit was in the back of my head, and the pain of like why does it have to be like this and all that stuff. It was just like every fucking time in my life, every every time in my life. I just had another memory that popped up in my head, but I think it's vital, so maybe more people could understand the predicament, right? It's back to the story with the fighting and stuff. She tells me, oh, we got an argument with your dad, I want to get the fuck out of here, I'm not happy anymore, I want to leave. I'm done. This is not okay. Yeah, how much pain you guys want me to go through? How much fucking fighting do you guys expect me to go through in this shit? And I'm like, I'm probably like 18, 17, around there. It's like, well, they obviously don't want them to break up, and I'm like, okay, fuck it. Well, do what you gotta do. Like I support you in the shit. Okay, I'm buying a I'm buying a bus ticket, and I'm gonna leave for the bus, and my bus there's, can you take me? And I've decided to leave. Cool. I take her, I drop her off at the bus, What a fucking asshole. He fucking took me. So he see how he doesn't want me. He took me to fucking leave. He doesn't want me in the house. Like this is about me. So I remember that clearly being like, what the fuck do I do? Like if I
Yeah.
said continue to fight, I'm wrong. Now that I'm accepting your feelings and I'm saying, yes, this is shit. You shouldn't be dealing with this shit. Go ahead and leave. It got flipped on me.
Mhm.
And I got shit for allegedly not wanting her in my life and not wanting her in this shit. And it was just like, what the fuck? Like,
Mhm.
how do you? I'm just thinking of the shit. Like, how the fuck do you navigate that? Like, to
Yeah.
not have any of the skills that I have now, and even now, it would be like a tough situation to be in. But how the fuck do you put us through that as kids? Like, how the fuck are we supposed to deal with that kind of shit? It was just that example just popped up in my head of like the ultimate shit that I remember. Like, wow, now I'm the fucking bad guy for actually allowing you, or you asked for my opinion and you said you were in pain. I said, by all means, like, fuck it, it is what it is. And now it turned onto the bad guy again for fucking that happening, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's back to present day. Like, it's been easier. Um, I definitely imagine it like at a distance. Like I would obviously want it to be better. When I started talking to her again, or when I saw her, I was afraid of how close I had
Mhm.
to get, right? Like, how
Yeah.
does this mean that she's fully back in? Like, where's gonna be the boundary? How the fuck do I tell you that like I'm still not okay with this and all that stuff, you know? So we haven't addressed it. Like I said, she comes by, I go over, just say hi, kind of fucking sit there and, you know, have the small talk or whatever the fuck, but doesn't go any further than that. Because I don't know how to. I don't think it's my place. I think to even open up the fucking wound again to be like, hey, this is you still what the fuck you gotta do, and this is where we're at. So I kind of just have to let it be. But is by letting it, I don't know. It just kind of feels like definitely I understand. I understand the perspective of like loving you at a distance. You know, like loving you from within a boundary where I'm safe, within a
Mhm.
boundary where my kids are safe, within a boundary where
Yeah.
my wife is safe. And yeah, like that's where I'm at. And I definitely understand everybody that has that stuff, of the no contact stuff, you know, with certain family members, so that stuff. And I'm happy with the decision that I made because it's made it easier, but it's still painful to kind of see that, right? To
Yeah.
see her. Um it's like I also don't even like I also don't like I'm so hurt, I guess you can say, that I also don't want to open up myself to her. Like I don't like I as much as I need her love, as much as I need her hugs, her rubbing my head, her whatever the fuck it is I need from her, like it's hard to receive it. It's hard
Mhm.
to accept it, you know, because I pay attention to that stuff and it's like weird, like it's a weird feeling. This last time that she came around, she was very like loving. I missed you guys. It had been a couple of months and she like hugged me and squeezed me real tight and shit. And it's like I want to, but I can't, or I want to, but I don't want to receive it. You know, like it's somewhere it's like in between because I don't. Yeah, and how I explained it to my brothers, like I'm definitely afraid to open up and get hurt again. At the end of the day, that's what it is. I don't want to open up. I don't want to fully be open to it and then have like another issue come back and just have my entire fucking life again come back. I feel like that's fucking I feel like I'm done with that shit. I don't want to have a memory again and this triggers and this one situation I went bring me back to all the shit that I felt like I've left behind already and doesn't affect me anymore, you know? So it's kind of like I'm I'm willing to deal with the fact of like this is where we're at, and although I might want it to change, I'm happy where this is. If this is the middle ground, or this is what I have to kind of cope and deal with, then that'll be what it is. I'm happy where we're at. I guess. Sheesh, 45 minutes nonstop. Let's go.
I just want to like hug you right now. Like that is the first thing that like throughout you telling the story, I'm like, oh my god. And I don't even know how you are able to just like tell the story with like a straight face, because I'm over here like tragándome emociones because I'm
I
like, oh
Yeah,
my god.
I held back a couple times, and as you see, I'm not making as much eye contact. I'm like looking at the corner of the screen or some
You're
shit.
like, I'm just gonna like
Yeah.
look over here. Um, and like I've been writing down notes like with what you're saying, and I'm just like, oh my god. Gosh, I can't. I don't even know if I can like talk because I'm a big empath, and I'm just like, holy shit, like that is a lot to go through. That is a lot to go through, and even though like now as an adult you can make sense of it, and you can say like you're able to like set those boundaries and be like, yes, I miss you, but like this part of like safety is my priority, right? But looking back at like your 14-year-old kiddo, like I'm super big on inner child work when I work with clients, right? So then if I were your therapist, I would look at that like 14-year-old that like the moment that your mom came to you and you were like, I think dad's right, and then you're like, my relationship completely shifted from there on. You are now 34, mid 30s, if my math is mathin'. That is
20.
20 years. More than half of your life with that relationship with mom in the way that you need her. That's a long fucking time. But also this part of, right? Like, how do you go back to somebody like as much as I like need that? How do I go back to that if I know that that's going to hurt me again?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the tough part.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the last time, well, it's on the podcast, right? The last time you were talking about your mom and her, like you being able to lay down on her and shit, and like her scratch your fucking head or
Yeah.
whatever. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like that. Like I told you,
Yeah.
I want to feel good to you, but I'm like, what the fuck,
Must be
Like,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, it must be nice to have that shit. Anytime I see that, um, anytime I see like happy parents, happy older parents, or kids with happy fucking shit, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, what would it have been like? What would it have been like? Or one time I had a conversation with my brother where afterwards I was like, fuck you. I told her I was mad. I allowed myself to be mad. I didn't tell her directly. My brother lives 400 miles away from where my mom lives. And I was like, man, I was just mad. And I was like, man, like, I fucking needed you. I needed you to help me, to guide me, to hug me, to love me, all this, all this fucking time. And for it, you not to really be there, although you were there. It's like really painful to see, And I wonder, what my life would be like to have a healthy relationship.
Mhm.
I wonder
There,
how that would have been.
yeah. And that's the grieving part too, right? Of like there's there's different components of grief. You you talking about like when you went no contact. Um like you're like I've never actually had a breakup, but it this kind of feels like that, right? Because you had said like I've tried. I've tried everything. I've tried talking to her. I've tried yelling at her. I've tried signing her up for therapy. Like I've done all of the things to have this good relationship. But when you finally set that boundary of like I'm not allowing this anymore, and if you leave, like that's it. That is breaking that pattern, and that comes with that grief of like I'm grieving the relationship I've always wanted, that healthy relationship. Right? Because that, like, all of the attempts that you've gone through, it's like, I want that. I'm talking to you because I want that. I'm signing you up for therapy because I want that. Like, and that is ironically like such a big act of love, but I'm sure that's not how she perceives it. And that's fucking difficult.
I saw it as a challenge, and I told myself I need to get better. I need to learn everything I can about mental health. I need to do this because I need to help her. I need to fix it. I need to do the best that I can. She is the motivation for me to continue to try, for me
Mm,
to continue to go. That's what I told myself before all this shit happened, because that was the only thing that was left to explore, the only thing that I can give it another try. Well, this can be the ultimate shit for me to continue to try. There has to be another approach, and there has to be another thing, and it's just that shit. That's a good one. I never thought about it like that. Of every attempt of talking to her, of every attempt of the therapy stuff, and every other time it was just us trying to literally have that relationship, like you said.
mhm.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
It's so tough.
it is. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like for you to be in that. And if she and does she in fact does have BPD, borderline personality disorder, that's it's a very tough journey to love, to have a relationship with somebody like that because of that black and white thinking, right? Of like they for people that don't necessarily know what BPD is, and again, we're not saying that your mom does in fact have this because she hasn't been diagnosed, but um they're the way their mind works is very like polarizing. Either you are like the best thing on earth, and if like we have a problem, even if it's like really minor, like we go to the other side where you are like the worst possible fucking human, and it goes um, between those two worlds. So to be in a relationship like that, like almost like when you're saying, how do I, like, I want that. And when she comes in and she like hugs me and she like gives me this, she gives me that, like I want it, I'm craving it, but then I can't allow myself to, right? It's almost like I see it as a stove. Sometimes it's on and it's going to burn me if I touch it, and sometimes it's off and it'll be safe for me to touch it, but I don't know when it's hot and when it's not, right? So it's this constant going back and forth, and that is how it is with people with BPD. um One of the things that is very hard for them is taking accountability. It's always like this, um it's other person's fault, is the other person's responsibility, right? Like that anecdote that you're talking about with the bus, that's like, it really illustrates how, like, that part of like, fuck if I do, fuck if I don't, like, right? You Her saying like, I want to leave, take me to the bus stop, I already like pay for this, blah blah blah, and you're like, okay, I'm supporting you, I am doing whatever it is that you're asking me to do, so then I take you. But in their head, like, one of the things that they say is, pon mucho a prueba la gente, like they'll test you.
Mm.
So in the head is like, okay, I'm going to tell you that I'm leaving, but I'm expecting from you is for you to tell me don't leave. So if you let me leave, then that must mean you don't fucking care about me. And that's exactly what happened with her, right?
Mm.
Of like, see, you don't fucking love me because you're letting me leave. If you loved me, you wouldn't have left me to go to the bus stop, because they're constantly testing of, because they themselves have a big fear of abandonment. So it's like I constantly have to be testing you, right? Like with her bringing up the conversation or the fight with your dad, and you saying like, yeah, I think dad is right. Like, you failed the test. You were supposed to be on my side and you are on somebody else's side. So you're either with me or you're against me. And it is hard to deal with that.
Yeah.
I know you're not asking me for advice how to fix this, because there is no fixing necessarily. There is this really good book that says, I hate you, don't leave me. It's for people that have a loved one that has BPD. It might be a good read for you.
Yeah. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Tell me a little bit, like right now, um, what is coming up for you? How is your body? What are you needing?
Well, it's kind of tough to. I think if this conversation was happening outside of the podcast, it'd be really different because
Mm,
there's no. I mean, we have to continue the conversation because as much as you like us both fucking cry, kind of puts like a hinder into really opening up or really showing your emotions and how you're feeling and shit. But is that realization of how much I needed her love and how much I needed that relationship, and also what you said about that was my attempt to make it right and to have a right thing. Um, like like Sally has, my wife has made a couple comments that just fuck me up, and I'm like, damn it, like you're right, and it just makes me fucking cry to just go through the shit and just be like that.
mm,
The other thing that comes up is like I'm the oldest one, and I've put in all this work and shit, and how all this has affected me, and I'm just wondering about my brothers, right?
mm,
Like I think about them now. I've never. It's been a couple of months where this conversation comes up, and I think about them more and more. I think I never really thought about how they were affected. Like I knew they were and all that, but I didn't really like sit with me because I didn't know how really how much it affected me. Because this idea of like I fucking needed you is new. It's not like it's been there throughout the process. You know, this is a new feeling. This
Mm.
new thing, this new like I wish would shit would have been different. You would have made such a difference in my life. All that stuff. I wish you would have been there and wanting to have a healthy relationship and how meaningful that is and like just the idea that you're supposed to fucking be there to protect me and then the opposite is happening, right? That idea
Mhm.
that like you're supposed to be the one that I go to, you're supposed to be the one that makes me feel better, you're supposed to be the one that I count on no matter anything in the fucking world, and it's been the complete opposite. It's kind of tough, it's kind of hard, and it's a new thing. So yeah, like I think about them and I think about them a lot and their suffering, whether they have realized it yet or haven't realized it, or how much they're missing and how much they needed that. And it's for them to go on their own journey, you know, and figure out themselves.
Mhm.
But I just feel a lot of like love and a lot of, I feel their pain and wonder, s- them being 3 years and 7 years younger than me, how much worse or how did they perceive that? How much do they really? Yeah, I just wonder how much it affected them. I know
Mhm.
that it definitely did. It's just I think about them more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean um, I mean I love it. Like I told you, this conversations are for the podcast, but it's so much for me, so much for ourselves
Mhm.
because it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
Is where we're at, and just that simple thing of like, well, this is how you were trying to fix it. Like I said, I think that'll stick with me. This was your attempts on making it feel better. Like that is what made me cry and shit like that because like yeah, that shit is true, you know. So that alone, anytime I can develop a new thing, anytime I can think about things different way or see things a different way or learn something about myself
Mhm.
is what it's all about, I think. It's the point
Yeah.
of the conversations, is the point of sharing, it's the point of the podcast, is just developing this new thing. And yeah, I mean, hopefully this was helpful. um I guess if I had to end it with something, is just some advice for somebody that might be going for the same thing as me, is like look for help. You don't have to deal with this shit alone.
Mhm.
Your conversations and how you made me feel like it was okay to set that boundary, it's okay to set that distance. At the same time as talking to other people that told me the same thing, reading about it, learning a little bit about it, like encouraged me to say like yeah, it feels right, it might be in the
Yeah.
right path, and it's something that needed to be done. um so yeah, don't be afraid to lean on other people. um this will also fucking remind you that to appreciate the people in your life that really care about you, that really take the time to understand you, that have done the work not to judge you and not to do any of that stuff.
Mhm. Yes.
Because although everybody might think differently, and yeah, if y'all fucking watching, because I know some of you will, you're welcome to message me. Like I said, no hard feelings. I understand. Like yeah, I don't have any hard feelings towards anyone, but you have a greater appreciation of the people that you can really lean on, the people that you can really count on because of this
Mhm.
shit, you know. It kind of like it fucking weaves out the bullshit, you know, of that, and you know that. And just also learning that part and to be okay with that, you know. You don't have to fit in, and you don't have to do the shit to fit in with everybody. Just be yourself and do what it takes, what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I understand now that if it has to be, like I send this a message to somebody else that was going through a similar things, like If I have to live in a fucking mountain with my girls and my wife by myself, and that's what keeps us safe and happy, like then that's what it'll be, you know.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than have all this other shit around that's not necessary. Of course, the same shit goes to all of them. Of course, I fucking want you in my life. Like, of course, I want to be at the fucking party. Of course, I want to do that shit. But if that's not the case, and that's where we're at, then like, fuck it. It is what it is. You know, be brave, make the
Yeah.
decision. Fuck everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, I think like that part of like the priority shift, right? Because maybe you fit in, and I think you said it somewhere along your your story was that like I'm willing to take it on and like stick it out with you, right? But then my wife and my girls come into the picture, and it's like, ooh, like I'm because there's different hats that you wear, right? Like there is my hat as a son that craves that love, that wants that, and it's willing to put in the work so that we could have that relationship. But then now I have three girls that I need to take care of, and that's the dad, the husband hat, the protector hat, and they've become my priority. And as much as this kiddo part, this son part craves that, because this has been my priority to take care of my babies, my wife, then I'm willing to put that hat down of the son, to make sure my family's taken care of, and with extended family as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, hopefully this. Some people, if you can relate to it, hopefully this helps out a little bit. That was the whole point. And they invite anybody that wants to talk about this shit. I know it's hard. You went through your thing with the divorce. I feel like I also needed to talk about it because I think that's how we can actually help ourselves and help other people the most by having this true,
Absolutely.
honest, deep conversations about it and kind of
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think like after that conversation about my divorce, it was um like very healing for me, because it was kind of like not too long ago I went like completely no contact with him. So um and like I did like the last tie that kept us together, like I cut that off. So I like that relationship ended not too long ago. Um so to be able to talk about it and just kind of like wrap it all up for the podcast was like, okay, I can I can now step into other stuff. So definitely these conversations are more for like, yeah, they're for everybody else, but more for us, right? Of
Yeah,
like sharing and healing. So thank you so much for sharing that part of your story, for sharing your vulnerability with me, with our listeners. um I appreciate you.
yeah. No problem. That's one thing that's easy. I can talk and I can talk honestly. I have to work on other things about myself, but talking honestly, I can do.
But that doesn't mean
Mm.
that it's like
Yeah,
easy, it's still hard to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I just learned through the I guess to even in a happy note or as you can say, I've the reason I am who I am today is because of all those experiences, right? Like I mentioned it in the past. It's like I know there's no point of bullshitting in a relationship. Just communicate, work shit
Mhm.
out. Otherwise, you're gonna continue to be in that fucking loop like my parents were in forever.
Yeah.
Be vulnerable, communicate, talk about that shit, and that's like the thing, right? To
Yeah.
the
That's
point maybe to a fault that I get triggered by bad relationships, and I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? I want to do that stuff.
but that's part of like being able to alchemize that pain, right? Like you shift it and you transform it into something that works for you. So you have been able to do so much beautiful work, turned so many, being able to create so many beautiful things, such as like being a great dad, being a great husband, being a great friend, because of those painful experiences.
Mm. I'm trying. I'm trying.
You're doing. You always say you're trying, and I always correct you. No, you're doing. You're not trying. You're doing. Are we doing current events? We missed it last time. We completely forgot, but
Do
I
you have one?
remember this time. No, but
Are
just
we just
like
doing the big one?
the same one that we were gonna do last time, and we didn't
Yeah.
because
All right. That's that for
life.
that. All right. That's it. Thank you for listening to that part of it. Now we're gonna do the current events thing, as you
Let's
know.
shift now.
We like do. I wish, like, you know what I'm gonna develop? I'm gonna develop like a drop or something that you play some shit, and now here comes the current events. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, we're a couple weeks ahead, just to kind of like peel back the curtains. I don't know if that's the proper saying. We're a couple weeks ahead because we want to be obviously on top of our shit. So you won't see this till the end of July, maybe early August. But yeah, the big thing that happened recently was the attempted assassination of Trump. That's like the big news, right? That was something
Hmm.
that just happened. That had me shook for a little bit. Um, my initial reaction was like, "This shit is fake. The fuck?" Because I'm on TikTok before I'm gonna get picked up with my friends to go to a bar. I don't drink, but I went to a bar. Had 2 glasses of water. Um, I see the TikTok and I was like, "Oh, breaking news! Trump just got shot. Something, something. My president." I was like, "What the fuck? This can't be true." And then I fucking close it, and I open like um Google or some shit, and I was like, "Oh shit, it happened." I'll go back to the video, and I fucking run, and I show my wife, and we're watching it, and I'm reacting to it a second time, and then she was like, that shit probably looks fake as shit." Like that was her initial reaction. Is as I'm watching it again, I'm like, "Yeah, okay, it's gonna get sketchy and interesting and honest still." My defense on why conspiracies are, some of them are definitely true, is that we know in the past from history, empires and great world powers do whatever the fuck they gotta do to stay on top. Can I tell you which shit is true and which one is not true? I can't fucking tell you for the life of me what shit is real and what not shit is real. My reaction with anything is to be skeptic, right? And to be like, well, let me look at it, analyze it, and see what the fuck is going on, see if it makes sense. The things that I find questionable is the Secret Service taking their sweet ass time, and then they allow him.
To
Then they allowed him to stop and then put his fist in the fucking air and like fight, fight, fight. Like my wife has done security her entire life, and she's like, "Yeah, these guys are fucking idiots. Like this is fucking completely like they fucked that up completely. Like to expose his hand and his head just so recently when you don't even know if the shooters have been completely been taken down. You don't know what the fuck is happening. Like that just seems like sketchy altogether, you know." So that was our initial reaction, you know. I don't know how you want to talk about that, and then we can go into how I felt afterwards or how you felt.
yeah, like when I was on the phone with some friends, and then uh it was a couple, and like the guy was like, "Oh, Trump just got shot at," and I'm like, "No, he didn't. Like, there's absolutely no way." Like, yeah, like he just got shot at like at a rally, and I'm like, "There's no way. Like, there is no way that this just happened." Um, and he's like, "Yeah, but they didn't like kill him." And my initial reaction was like, "You pendejos, they missed." Um, but like after like you
Make a
called
note of
me, or
that. Make a note of that statement. We'll there's something to say in there. But go ahead.
okay, and then you called me and you're like, "Did you see the news?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't like I knew from him telling me, but I didn't actually like I hadn't watched the video. Like right after we talked, like I went to watch it." And I'm like, the same thing, like absolutely not. Like there's no way that they because whenever like you mentioned, like in the past whenever that has happened, it's like, okay, we protect our fucking target and we get our target the fuck out of here. but it was just like there, and it's like, oh, we just get up, take our sweet ass time, right? But um and even just like the way they were protecting him when he was like up, it was just like, I mean, there's so much you can do with your body, but there was no attempt to like, motherfucker, put your head down,
Yeah,
like,
literally every other fucking time they're pushing their head down. Literally
right,
every other
right, like
shit. They're
that is what
literally
they
forcing
do.
them.
That is what
Yeah,
they do, right?
yeah.
And this time it was just like, yeah, I'm protecting him. Like, no, the fuck you are not. After, also, like, now it has like other videos have come up where, right, where they're like, there's somebody on the fucking roof, like there's somebody right there, and nobody actually like reacting or doing anything to like check that out, like allowing the whole thing to happen. So it is kind of like, it does seem like very strategic because of, elections and
Hmm.
all of the political stuff that has happened. And like I sent you that video of the person that was streaming, right, saying like, there is no way that this is going to hurt Trump, like absolutely no way that this is going to hurt Trump. And that is the general consensus of like, we're fucking cooked.
Yeah.
We're fucking cooked. What were you going to say in terms of like, make note of that and like how you felt after?
Okay. Let's. I think this is more interesting than how I felt, right? Because I think everything is in the fucking middle at some point. So I've seen this conversation of you're a piece of shit if you wish death on somebody. But let's just, for the sake of the conversation, draw where the fuck is that line at? Where do you draw the line? I think if you're saying, if you're fucking never been affected, if you're a fucking white guy with money and you never been affected by any of the fucking politics or any of that shit, that politic, or if you're never affected by politicians and how they affect everybody else, then you have no right to say how dare you fucking say something, because obviously, politicians create fucking war, create pain, create all this fucking shit, and they kill people. So,
Hmm.
for example, everything is fucking complicated. The shit happening in Palestine. If, or put it to it like this, if some motherfuckers come to my neighborhood and they start fucking bombing the fucking every other, or like my city, and they start bombing the city slowly, or going in the house and killing a few people, then kill some other people, and eventually they kill some of my neighbors or my friends or family members or whatever the fuck. At what point do I have the right? Am I wrong for picking up a fucking gun and want to shoot back? At what
Hmm.
point am I wrong? So that you can't, I guess the point of it is you can't just make a blank statement and you can't wish, you're wrong for wishing death on somebody. It depends honestly what the fuck they've done. And I personally, if somebody is reacting like you, like fuck they missed, I would be concerned of what the fuck did I do for somebody to be wishing that like they would hit me. Like I would just be looking at myself to be like, damn, I fucked up. I fucked up if some of this reaction, some of the people's reaction is like, oh, I wish I would have fucking hit your ass. Like, what did I do? What the fuck did I do to do that? So that's just to bring it out there. And that was a good thing that you said to remind me of that conversation. It all depends. You can't just fucking say
Yeah.
a simple thing. Like, when am I right for doing that? I mean, look at all this shit that we've done to defend our freedom and do all this shit and go kill all those people and all that shit. Are we not fucking wrong? Um, we talk about terrorism and terrorists in the other world, and a lot of the world sees the United States as the fucking terrorists themselves,
Yep.
you know. So it's like,
Yeah.
where the fuck is that at? Where is the thing that makes it right or fucking wrong? That's that. How I felt the rest of the day was just like, yeah, we're cooked. We're It's just gonna suck. He's probably gonna win. Um, Once again, how the fuck? How can I get out of this fucking country and making it more real and feeling overwhelmed? Because what I tell Celia is, I can turn all this shit off. I can turn the person that is aware of all the political and societal shit that's around the world. I can turn it off. I
Mhm.
can get distracted and I can choose not to give a fuck and not pay attention of it because it gets overwhelming when you see all the systemic fucking things that are done to fucking screw us, right? So it's kind of hard to live paying attention to all that shit and it gets overwhelmed because in reality there's almost not a fucking thing we can do. There's almost isn't. Like what the fuck am I gonna do myself against this other shit? And we had that conversation, I think privately last time, of like
Mhm.
the other, oh no, it wasn't with you, it was with somebody else. Of like the only shit I can do is what can I do? What can I control? Just get the fuck up and leave somewhere else. Like that's the only solution that I can think of to see what that it's that, because it's just literally at that moment I'm like it's a fucking shit show, and then I'm catching myself getting agitated, and I just said it's like okay, let me fucking take a couple deep breaths and trying to fucking relax and go do this fucking thing that we're doing at the bar or whatever the fuck we were going. So I'm trying to calm myself and whatever. Then I get picked up by 40 something, 41, 42-year olds, my cousin and his friends. And they're talking like me and you. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like you guys are having the same understanding, questioning how the reality of it and all this shit and everything. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is makes me like feel a little bit better. And then I'm looking at social media and the same shit is popping up, like, oh, all this that, like that's
Mhm.
just too convenient and all this shit that's happening. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we're not as fucking dumb as we once were, as a society. So like, okay, cool. We'll see. I mean, it gives me a little bit of hope to see
Of
all
hope.
the people
Mhm.
reaction like that. But it was
Yeah.
definitely like at first of that because I want to I if I had to bet, I will bet that I don't end up in this fucking country for longer, for much longer. I don't know how long, but that I would bet on like my ass being somewhere else with my family. I don't know. It's a tough decision to live in a whole new country, maybe with a whole new language and then a whole nother culture. But then I think, my fucking parents did it. Why the fuck can I do it? I just gotta continue to move on more north or
Shit.
east or west or whatever, you know.
Wait,
So
I was gonna say, I'm like, um, where would we go? Um, but also, like, did you see that Biden might step down?
thank the fucking Lord if that happens. They're fucking honestly dumb as shit. Ever since they blocked Bernie from doing that shit, they completely lost it. But then it makes sense, right? It's the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I fucking I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I have almost no hope. It would be smart for them to do it if he does step down. I just thinks it's terrible, and he's too fucking old and incoherent already, and everything. Yeah, the frustrating part and the reason why I'm telling you I can turn it off is because I've been this person from 20 something years ago. And all this shit, and like I'm telling you, all these things of like all this shit that people say now and questioning the shit, it was just me on a fucking island saying this shit and like a couple professors that I had. So it was definitely harder. And
Yeah.
the reason why I learned to turn it off probably for a while, and I'm getting back to like fuck it. Just gotta be outspoken and be myself and shit. You know, gotta
Mm.
start doing some research. Start traveling to other countries. Take some notes. I'll add you to the chat. I should probably make a group chat. There's like 6, 7 of us already that are quite like thinking about going somewhere else. And
Where are
then
we gonna go?
yeah. So we're already looking at other places. But that to the listeners should be a fucking thing to let you know that if people are thinking of fucking leaving the country, it's turned into a shit show.
Yeah.
If this is what it's turning to be like, if we're starting to move away. So I saw a TikTok that was like, oh, all you fucking Europeans are laughing now, but wait till all the fucking rich people take all our fucking money, end up moving to your countries, and you're not gonna be laughing anymore. Like you're next. Yeah, it's just too much with the whole shit about making it illegal to be homeless. The
Mm.
whole shit
Mhm.
about all the companies coming together and raising all the prices for no reason to try to get us to fucking be okay with making less money, and all the property that's getting owned privately and like about not owning shit and renting everything.
Yeah,
It's too
it's
much.
wild. It's fucking wild. It is. It is fucking horrible. Like literally everything that they're doing is for fucking like the white man politicians. Like that is like it is all about their fucking interests, right? Like one of the things that I have seen a lot on like social media and like everybody is a rage about it is like, oh, there's no space for political violence. Literally, when there are like multiple motherfucking genocides like happening, and you give no fucks about those lives, but when one of your own fucking kind gets shot at one and doesn't even fucking get killed,
Allegedly.
right? Like it's just, and it's like, oh my god, violence. Like now you give a fuck, and that's the part that gets so hard, and where like that rage comes about, right? Because you're over here screaming and be like, bro, like look at what the fuck is happening. Stop giving bombs to these people. Stop fucking funding this shit. And then just like turn a blind eye. And but when it's one of your own, it is such a big thing. Like that's where like the fucking outrage and like mejor lo hubieran matado comes from, right? Because it's like you literally give no fucks. So if
Uh-huh.
you give no fucks about people other than your own, like at some point we gotta fucking defend ourselves. Because you ain't fucking protecting, you're like people of color here, people of color overseas, like
Hmm.
so yeah.
It's sad that there's so much you're willing to fucking murder and do all this other shit for wealth. I've come
For
to the
fucking wealth.
yeah, I've
For
come to the
fucking wealth.
realization through some life experiences, and I've come to the conclusion that every single wealthy person can go fuck themselves, and not every single one of them. And I have this fucking thing of like, there's some celebrities that I follow that I watch, and some of them that I like, choose to entertain myself with and shit like that. And I'm just like, yeah, including you motherfuckers. Like, if
Hmm.
you, I think I'm just gonna say this to kind of tell you guys how I feel. I think if you have over $100 million, you can go fuck yourself, and you can get a fucking personal card that says "fuck you," signed by me. There is no fucking reason why you need to have more than that money. I saw someone said that like if you have once you reach $1 million, you should get a congratulations, you won a capitalism. Here it is. Get the fuck out of here now. Go do something else with your life, and it ends right there. Because there's absolutely no reason. There's no reason. There's no fucking reason why you should have that shit. So now I don't know how shit like the whole thing of blocking celebrities on social media so you don't get their ads and you don't get any of the shit. Oh my god, I'm on that shit. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I can't do anything else, but you're not gonna show me your shit. Like the only
Yeah.
thing I can control what I see is I'm not letting you fucking advertise to me what the fuck so ever if that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And as soon as I do that, it's like, well, that's the only shit I can control. And when I don't shop, we
Yeah.
haven't. We've somebody bought us. I think in the last fucking almost a year now, somebody bought us Starbucks twice, and somebody got us McDonald's twice, and that's fucking it. And we used to have Starbucks and McDonald's on the regular. And we've
Yeah.
chosen those two to be like, yeah, y'all can go fuck yourself. I'll go somewhere else,
Same.
even though it could be the same shit, but at least fuck you guys. That's like the
Yeah,
only shit.
I do the same if I could, because I really do like McDonald's a lot. Like it is probably my favorite fast food, and I have not gone to shop there. Starbucks the same. Like literally today a friend was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, I'm craving like something like sweet and hot." Because it was raining over here, and she's like, "Do you want to go to Starbucks?" And I'm like, "No, like absolutely fucking not. Are you kidding me? Like, no, not gonna
Yeah.
go to Starbucks." Um, so like those things are, because another friend was like, "Oh, I just went to Starbucks because they were having like a 50% off drinks or something like that." And I'm like, "Oh, they're fucking struggling. They're fucking
Yeah.
struggling if they are offering these like fucking sales and shit." So I'm like, "Good, fucking good. Fuck off."
Yeah. It's crazy. I tell we told Mia, it's like, oh, they're responsible for helping people that kill other people, and then we pass by. Daddy, do those people not know that they're helping other people who get killed and stuff, and that they're killing other people? And I was like, I don't know, baby. Some people don't want to look, and some people do. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Hmm.
But we're not
Yeah.
doing it. So
Yeah.
she used to because she was used to. She's like, if we go to Starbucks, now she's like doesn't even ask anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we don't do Starbucks or McDonald's at least
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard
Same.
to cut everything off, but we'll choose those two things for
I know.
now.
know it's hard because like a lot of them are fucking like invested and involved in all of that, right? So like to know all of them, but there are and maybe we can like do that next time for the people that are interested in boycotting that way. I'll go back and like look up because there's like websites that will tell you if it's a safe product or not necessarily safe, but like if they're supportive
Yeah.
of genocide or not.
Yeah, pretty much just grow your shit at home and raise some chickens. That's
I
actually become
know.
interesting. I mean, I feel like we're fucking rambling. We'll finish after this shit.
Yes.
But it's just
Yes.
like it's honestly been that's how fucked up shit it is. I've never thought myself as a fucking ranch person, and I literally told Celia one time within the
Maybe.
last month or two, like, hey, what if we just get a ranch, have some fucking rabbits, and grow some shit and like fuck the world and be like, that seems kind of interesting. Like we don't have to do all this shit. We just go back to fucking the shit that we were living in the ranchito in Mexico and just literally rabbits can fucking grow and have more rabbits like crazy. So just have rabbits and grow some shit and then we just live for the fucking rabbits if anything and chickens and whatever the fuck.
I'm in. Let me know when we're
Yeah.
moving and where to.
Right? Right? Like I'm telling you, let's start the fucking the group chat and be like, all right, what country you're taking? Which one are you visiting? And let's see, give us the feedback.
Yes. Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
I'll see you
Let's
soon.
roll because otherwise we're gonna be here for a while.
For real, for real.
Thank you so much, y'all. Again, the email it
Email,
is
yes.
mindfulpodcastliving@gmail.com. Give us your feedback. Give us your comments. If you want to be a guest, anything. Tell
Mm-hmm.
us what you've thought so far about the episodes that have been out. Any topics that you want to listen about.
Don't be shy. Let us know. Drop a
Don't
comment.
be shy.
And don't
All right.
forget, Norma's available for fucking life coaching outside of Nevada and therapy, which is the same
Therapy.
shit inside Nevada. Just some stupid ass rules. All right, let me play this shit. Otherwise, we can be here forever. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Wait.